Hello and welcome to your project. So for your GCSE you have to be working on a project and you're given 20 hours to complete this task. Now the project has been provided to you and it's up to you to read it through and complete it. Go. Okay, maybe we'll do a little bit of work around it, and by that essentially I mean you'll be doing that project, and on this video I've got a different project. So I'll go through the steps which I'd take in order to get this program completed to my best ability, and you can apply the same steps to your project. So the project which I'm working on is about ASCII art and run length encoding. So you should have already covered run length encoding and know what that means, and you should be able to look at that and figure out, hang on, that would compress really nicely with run length encoding. Okay, so the first step is understanding what the project is actually asking. Now this sounds like, oh yeah, well you just read it. You'd be surprised. So what I want you all to do is read through the entire document twice, and then I want you to actually create a fake run-through. Now what I mean by that is when you're running your Python program, once you've completed it and it's all amazing and exactly how you want it and how you think the task is asking for it, I want you to just write down what the output would be. So in this one, it's explaining what the task is, it's giving a few examples, and it says, okay, so the first thing it should do is should display a menu. So I'm going to have as run through 1. First it's going to say choose a menu option 1, and I'm going to do it by numbers, I think. And this is one of the decisions which you have to make. How are you going to be doing these things? How is the user going to interact with your program? Whoops, forgot 4 there. Okay, so now we can see the start of the program, what we're expecting to see when we first run it. And just for the first run through, I can do that. The user has typed 5 and it's just going to say bye. There we go. That is the simplest form of my program. If I manage to get a program which looks like that, and you can change the color, so where it's to a color background. Where it's a yellow background on mine is where the user's typed anything. Everything else is where the computer's typed it. So that is my first run through. So then I can do a second run through, because that one doesn't really show the full depth of the program. So I'm going to do a second run through and do a different option and different things to show what the program would output. So now we can look at the second run through, and that's going to print the same menu, and instead of 5 I'm going to type 1, so enter RLE, and that's still got the no. It's then going to ask how many lines of RLE compressed data. And it's gonna put 1 there, and that bit shouldn't be highlighted. There we go. It says should check that the number entered is greater than 2. So I've put in 1 there, so it should say there we go. So now we can see that if the user enters 1, it's then going to say, please enter a suitable number. And then after that you have I'm going to have it say enter line 1, like so. And do I have any sample data? I've got some sample data here, so I can put that as an example. So all of that is done by the computer, that's done by the user, and then I'm just going to do 5D. Once all the compressed data has been entered, the program decompresses the data and displays the ASCII art image. The user is returned to the main menu. So that's entered. Your date is, and then it should display that it's 10 spaces, and then 5Ds. There we go. And then it should go back to this menu, and I should then be able to change something else. So for a program like this, I'd make sure that I'm doing one for every single one of the main options. If it's something which is enter a value and you're entering different values and you should have different results for each things, then it's really something which you need to be considering. How much do I need to put in there? How do I fully understand how it's getting each result, and make sure you're showing that calculations. Now this is very close to a test table. So a testing table is ideally what you'll be producing generally later on in the project, but it's a good idea to get something done now, particularly as we're trying to understand exactly what it's doing. And if we just search testing table GCSE computing, you'll see some examples, including this one, which looks quite nice. What test number is it? What's the description? So maybe menu items or the display RLE. Test data, what are you inputting? What are you typing in? So this may be the different ASCII, the different RLE values. This could be a blank input. This could be some wrong input. So see how it deals with errors. And then, okay, what are we expecting to happen if we put that in? For example, we could have the test data of option 1, 1 line, and we expect it to say error, please enter a valid number. What does it actually do? Well, when we've finished the program, we'll be able to fill in these 2 fields. So we can write half of it, and then we know what we'll be testing to. So when we've finished it, we can run it and say, okay, does this test give this answer? If it does, great, it's a successful test. If it doesn't, then okay, what do we need to change? And that's a very good idea to be looking at that sort of thing and trying to create that now, particularly if it's a data heavy project. So go through the run-throughs, as many as you feel are appropriate, making sure you're exploring all aspects of the program, and then a sample test table would be a good idea. So try and get something done that's like that, and we'll move on with the project later.